Welcome back YouTube to another review video. This is Uncle Soul. I cover shoes that generally don't get a lot of English attention, or I have a different perspective than some of the mainstream reviewers. Do you spend more time warming up and cooling down before games than actually playing the game? Does your back and knee hurt every single time you fight for boards? If so, this is the right shoe review channel for you. We're uncles, and our priorities in shoes are a little different than the young nephews. So stay tuned. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe to the video, so that tells YouTube I should keep doing what I'm doing and you won't miss any updates. Without further ado, let's talk shoes. Today, we'll be covering the brand new 361-degree Biospeed BB. Finally something not from Li-Ning, and I would like to call this the WOW10 killer. Going to streamline my review a bit in an effort to shorten the review but still keep all the important information in the video. So leave a comment down below if you think the new format works, or if it doesn't, let me know why. So instead of the multiple sections that we have, we'll be breaking it down to 3 main sections, which is features, Uncle's 4 pillars, and the all-important performance. Price for the Biospeed BB is 250 Canadian or about 180 US, so definitely not a cheap shoe. The weight for the shoe is pretty light. The fit for the shoe is actually pretty standard size. I'm US man 9.5. I bought in US man 9.5. Fits perfectly. I would say the front is actually pretty wide foot friendly. There is a little bit of wiggle room for me in the front, but never slipped thanks to its lockdown. But definitely this is a wide foot friendly shoe, and if you're gonna get one of these, you can go true to size. Let's jump straight into the tech and feature for the 361 Biospeed BB. The first important tech from the Biospeed is the CQ Quick foam, which has been featured in the Joker one and a lot of their good shoe, including the Quick Pro. This is their supercritical foam, which they've been using similar to Adidas Boost, but supercritical with a lot more bounce and a lot more energy return. The reason why this is so important this time is because they have combined with their other technology called Quick Flow. I believe this is the first time ever 361 has successfully molded their carbon plate inside their foam. A lot of reviewers like to call it sandwiching, but it's actually much more than that. By combining the molding process of the foam with the carbon plate, the responsiveness for the carbon plate is significantly higher. You see that in the Li-Ning's carbon core drive system, and you also see it and you feel it in the Biospeed BB. And you can also see the carbon plate in this shoe is significantly larger than the X plate in the Quick Flow, and offers a lot more bounciness and energy return as well. We'll cover that later as well. And finally, the outsole is made of the RPU, which they have. 361 has used them in their running shoes before, and this is the first time they've implemented them into the basketball shoe. It is 361's own version of GCU. The compound, will cover the performance in a bit, but you can see the treads are extremely shallow, and they can do that because this is basically the same compound as the older version of GCU. Moving on to Uncle's 4 pillars. Check the link in the video above for why these 4 pillars are so important to me. Let's jump straight to cushioning. The Biospeed BB features the CQT Quick from 361, a very plushy, responsive, and bouncy foam. Step-in comfort, amazing. You can feel the bounce right away, and when you play in these, you will feel every bit as bouncy as you can possibly feel in any basketball shoe. Moving on to traction. The Biospeed BB traction features the RPU, and I have to say, this is crispy. On clean courts, obviously, there is no slip whatsoever. On dusty court, same thing. The grip on these are absolutely amazing. They are actually surprisingly not as deft grip as the GCU. I wouldn't say there's any give on the court, but certainly you don't feel like you're just going to roll over because it grips the floor so hard. So whatever they're doing, they did this really well. The one concern I have is that I played in these for a month, and in certain high traffic area, you are starting to see some fraying. The durability of these, I would say it's equivalent to the early versions of GCU. On to lockdown. The shoe features a really flexible upper, not my favorite, but with the lacing system being really well done and TPU reinforcement where it's needed, this shoe's lockdown is almost perfect. The lateral lockdown is amazing. Despite being a wide foot friendly shoe, I've never experienced any kind of movements inside the shoe laterally. What I do have a concern with is the north-south lockdown. I experienced some slippage when I'm doing hard stops forward, which jam my toe a couple of times. Not to the same degree as the Lucas, which got me mangling my big toe, but enough to cause some bruising. Tightening some of the laces up here got better, but there's still some slippage. I would say this is not common for most folks. It is a problem for me. Most people should be fine, but if you have a foot shape same as mine, you will experience some forward movement, and that could cause injury, unless you lock this down very well. Finally, stability. With a ladder-shaped forefoot and a heel that is ball-shaped but very substantial, and a beautiful TPU heel counter, I would say never experience any risk of rolling my ankle, unlike some of the shoe like a GT Hustle 3. This thing is more stable than the Dallas Mavericks roster. That covers the all-important 4 pillars from Uncle Soul, except for the lockdown where it's very specific to the foot shape. The Biospeed BB performs very well in all of the categories, so this makes it a pretty damn good shoe to play in. However, to be worth the $180 price tag, this has to perform much better than that. So let's talk about how the features affects this shoe's performance. With a very aggressive ball-shaped heel and a very well-designed rocker in the front, even without any tech, the Biospeed BB creates a very natural north-south transition on every step. That is further enhanced by the quick float system with a very strong carbon plate in the middle. So energy return on this shoe on your flex is very well done, and a very smooth transition every step of the way with a lot of energy return. Laterally, this shoe is just as good because of the split carbon plate, which allows a lot of flexibility when you're doing crossover steps like this with a lot of bounce back. There is little or no resistance from the forefoot plate itself. Or if you're doing negative step this way, which allows for very flexible steps, allowing you to push off from a negative step as well. Which leads to the next question, the core feel. Despite how thick the cushion is, however, the core feel for this shoe is actually pretty well done. I can't say it's the same as Lyrin 4v2 or any of the extremely low to the ground shoe, but I would give it a lot of points. It is very responsive. You don't feel like you're stepping in mud when you are shifting laterally or vertically. This shoe gives a lot of core feel and cushion at the same time. It's a very well balanced shoe. The material for the shoe is not my favorite. I'm not a fan of TPU weave. I like leather, I like textile. The way they put the TPU weave together makes this shoe very durable and very breathable. Never heated up in the shoe whatsoever, neither the heel or the front. Everything that needs to be there, it's there. The tongue is cushioned at the right area, so there's never any lace irritation. The heel is very well designed, with just enough cat tongue material so that when you slide into the shoe, there is no resistance. When you're trying to pull it out, there's a lot of roughness to it, so it locks your heel down. TPU counters are as minimal as possible to reduce weight, but also give it the heel counter rigidity and whatnot. You can also see that inside the lacing system there are wiring to ensure a much better lockdown from the laces. One unfortunate point is that the way the shoe is designed, the arch is quite high up, so If you have flat foot, you're gonna feel a lot of discomfort here. So I would say if you do have flat foot, this is not a good match for you. The released colorways, which are here, are not my favorite. I chose the one that I like the most, which is a very neon green colorway, so it stands out on court because I just don't like the other colorways. The design of this shoe, honestly, if it was done in textile or leather, I would have liked it a lot more. Obviously, that would affect breathability. I really am not a fan of the textile or the TPU weave used on any of the 361 shoe, including the 5.0 Quick Pro. But they work. They're there for functionality. 361 has always done performance-based shoes, so I understand why they do it. But they try to make it a little fancy this time. You can see that in the insole it says basketball won't say no. I can't say no to the Biospeed BB. At $180, not a cheap shoe. However, with all the tech built in, I feel like this is a better WOW10. WOW10 has been sitting atop the bouncy performance basketball shoe for a couple of years now. However, I think this shoe has outdone it. I always felt the weight 10s have strong bounce, but a very wild, raw bounce to it. It's really difficult to control that energy return. I feel like these are much easier to return. However, they are still very aggressive, but they are much easier to control than your WOW10, and which enhances performance because if you can direct the energy to where you need it, it's always better than not being able to. Now on to the final part, which is Uncle's recommendation. I strongly recommend the Biospeed BB to anyone looking for an aggressive energy return system that's going to give them more on the court. I felt amazing playing in these. I don't feel so good the next day. But quick float system gives you a lot back. They're designed for quick floaty steps from nephews or athletic uncles. They're not really designed for lazy uncles such as myself. The way they designed this shoe makes it very easy to run, very easy to jump. If you're a chill uncle that just likes to do cardio on the court, I would strongly recommend against this shoe. If you are a chunky uncle that takes heavy, powerful steps on drives, or you are more of a low post player, I would also recommend against this shoe. You will end up fighting the energy return a lot more than you would benefit from it because this shoe requires you to be very flexible and very floaty. Quick return, quick snap. But if you can do that, this shoe is much better than most on the market for bouncy shoes. This is one of the most bouncy basketball shoes I've ever tried on. If you don't mind how ugly this thing is, I would strongly recommend this shoe. I, however, won't be wearing these anymore, not because the next day sucks, but because of the front toe lockdown issue. I don't want to risk another toe injury. So unfortunately, despite how bouncy and fun these shoes are, and you can see that I was dropping trays left and right. It was so easy to shoot off these shoes. It was so easy to drive off these shoes. Anyways, that covers my review for the 361 degree Biospeed BB. And until next time, see ya.